Good morning, everybody. Orange here with another War of the Visions video, and today it's time for part 3, the final part of the Persona 5 unit preview video series, and we're going to talk about Violet today, the light evasion unit. And you might have heard of this thing called light evasion before, because guess what? We got a couple of them in Global already, and they're really good. Now, Violet was super strong over in JP when she dropped, but remember, JP did not have Starlight Elena in their game yet. So Violet Locke was the meta for a long time in JP, kind of how Starlight Elena Locke is the meta? It wins the gold medal, but it's also the meta in Global right now. So where will Violet fit into Global? Is she as good as those other two characters? We're going to start to discover that with this video today. And we're also going to do an account review in today's video, because two of the more recent Saint of Eileen level members on the YouTube channel did send in requests for account reviews. So Late Night was the first one to send in. We're going to review that account at the end of this video. So if you want to see how your account compares to a day 102 self-proclaimed dolphin who went to whale a little bit during the anniversary's account, stay tuned to the end of the video. I think this dude has a very good account and spent pretty wisely. We'll explore all that, but first let's explore Violet. Let's get to this video, and it was pretty easy to decide who I wanted to compare Violet to. I wanted to compare her to Locke, because they're both light evasion units who both scale off of physical damage. You see Violet's stat on the left, they both have pretty similar HP. She's at 3113, Locke is at 3079. Locke does have a little more attack than she does, 591 to her 570, but oh my god, check out that agility stat. Violet is walking into fights with 72 agility. That's before espers, that's before vision cards, that's before anything. She is insanely fast. This girl can move. 72 agility. Locke only has 68. Starlight Elena, who regularly laps people, base 68 agility just like Locke. So this girl's speedy. She can fly. She also brings 268 dex and 280 luck. Both of those are very good. And then she brings move 4, jump 2. Locke brings move 3, jump 3. So both of these units can just get around the map. And I think you can see statistically, they're very comparable to each other. Both have 10 slash resist. Locke is weak to strike, whereas Violet is weak to piercing, but Violet uniquely is very strong to strike, which is something you don't see very much. She's also strong to magic, where Locke falls off a little bit at a -5. So statistically speaking, I think they're very close, with a big edge towards Violet in the speed category. 72 agility is insane, but can she get more from her kit? Can she bring more to the table than that? Well, let's find out. I want to start in a different spot than that though. I do want to talk about the Rapier. This is the weapon you're going to be able to farm that is like her sword, but really it's just a really good sword. Note the passive effects. For the first 3 turns of combat at +5, it will give you critical hit rate 10, and then it comes with slash attack 15, like our other +5 swords do. So I bring this up because Violet is a critical hitting unit. She's a light evasion unit, yes, but she's also really built to capitalize off big critical hits. This sword will help with that for the first 5 turns of combat, and the assault version of this sword at 162 damage, that's no slouch. Every type of this weapon has 15 critical hit rate, which is good. The aim version would be the only other one I would consider at 16 accuracy, but man, dropping to 113 attack on your weapon feels bad to me. I would probably stay away from the aim version of this and go with the assault version. 162 attack is nice. I think this is a good sword. I think you would behoove your account to farm this sword, even if you don't build it, get at least enough recipes to put one of these, on your account. Okay, let's get to Violet, and we're going to start with her Trustmaster, because I like to do that. And again, sort of like the other Trustmasters in the Persona series, I think it's good, like situationally good, but not something to like write home about. It is an accessory, again without agility, has 182 HP, 7 defense, 12 evade, and 12 crit evade. Okay, the skill is an AP restore 20, so it's not like AP regeneration. It's another TMR that it maxed when you trigger it will just give you 20 additional AP, plus the 12 you will get from casting it, and it'll drop your aggro by 6. So we now have several TMRs in global with the addition of Violets that can drop aggro, which I guess does open you up for some like cool builds where you have like two not tanks who drop their aggro to give aggro to your tank who now doesn't have to generate it himself or something, and that's neat, but I just don't think it's like super game changing. So that's her TMR. Now her master ability, she has the HP and light attack buff for her allies. She also gives herself 5 evasion rate and 15 attack. Good, she likes all those stats. I'll give her a passing grade on her master ability. Next, support abilities. She has two support abilities from her new job. The first one, Brilliant Manners, is an attack plus 24% buff and critical hit rate plus 15. We're going to revisit this one in a second. I think it's pretty good. However, I think her best support ability is the second one on this list, Fencer's Knowledge. This is going to help her evade by giving her 12 evasion, and it's going to help her damage a lot by giving her 40 defense penetration. We talk about defense and spirit penetration all the time because in the modern game today, there's enough defense and spirit floating around that if you want to have a super significant damage dealer, in my opinion, you just need to be able to penetrate some defense or spirit. She can do it. She gets 40 defense pen right here, and it is an evasion unit. I just think this one is like, put it on her. Now, maybe there's some PvE situations where you wouldn't need this, but for PvP, you're going to run this. Then I think you have an interesting choice to make. We already talked about Brilliant Manners, which will give her more crit rate and an attack buff. Or you have the other Fencer ability, which gives critical hit rate 15, the same as you got from Brilliant Manners up here, and critical damage up 20. Violet has several ways of increasing her critical damage. So which one of those will help her do more damage? That will require in-game testing. So we'll have to test that out. Do you get more damage from 24% attack, or do you get more damage from 20 critical damage? Because I really don't think you're going to have a problem getting this girl to crit. She has enough crit in her kit. She has a high enough like dex score. I think you're going to be able to get her to crit reliably. So would you rather have harder crits or more attack stat? I honestly don't know the answer to that. I think it'll take some testing, but I do think those are the relevant support abilities. Now, the coolest part of her kit, like in my opinion, this is one of the coolest counter abilities in the game where like I think reflex is really powerful, but I just hate it because of how like RNG cheese it is. Violet has a counter move that only triggers when she evades. So you get rewarded for building her evade and having her do what you built her kit to do. And if she dodges, her perfectly refreshing move right here will give her 30 slash resistance penetration for the counterattack, and then counterattack for 121 damage. So you walk up to hit her and she says, nope, dodged it, counterattack. So the counter move itself does not dodge like what reflex does. You have to build for that dodge, but you get rewarded for dodging by counterattacking with slash resistance penetration. This is an amazing skill. Oh, by the way, it's ranged. It has range 4, range height 1. So it's a ranged slash attack counter that triggers when you dodge. This is insane. This is a super good counter move, and I like it because it's both strong and rewards you for playing the game in a smart way. Unlike Reflex, which just rewards you for being an IQ above Potato and realizing you should equip Reflex on your units. Okay, now she also has, the decreased accuracy counter move, which you might run, and she has counter shot, which you won't run. Okay, run this one. This is so cool. Just, I love this. I love that. Anyway, let's continue. Her new job, right? What can it do? Well, she does have her cheap move, 16 AP, 4 uses, like a BA game. Interesting. It does 175% damage, just regular slashing move. Note her scaling. She does get a nice boost from her dex, agility, and luck. It's nothing like Makoto's, who probably relies on those a little bit more, but she's a pure attack unit, is Violet. So there you go. Then you have Brave Step. This is a self-only buff with 2 uses that increases critical rate 25 and critical damage 25. With Violet, you have a thing here where you can consider, is it worth stacking critical damage up on her? And again, I just don't know. It's just going to require some testing, but it's a cool idea. right? It's a cool idea, and you don't have to run a TMR to get a critical damage up buff in this case. She can give one to herself. Now, her next attack, Please Go. This is a defense debuff for the target, 165% damage, with a 25% chance of inflicting paralyze with a critical hit. I really don't think you're going to have trouble critting with her, so you have a decent chance of landing a paralyze, and guess what? It's a 2-hit attack. Oh, did it just trigger in your head what this is going to be so good for? I hope it did. This is a great PvE move. It is a defense debuff, super good for chaining, 2-hit slash attack. This is an amazing PvE chaining move. Think of like Farm, right? Whose Dream Within a Dream is a defense and spirit debuff. It's not quite that good. That move's insane for PvE. This is just borderline insanely good. It's real good though. It has 4 uses, only costs 25 AP. Love this move for both PvP and PvE. Then you have Space Killing Method. This is a large AoE attack that will decrease AP when you critical hit. With the EX upgrade, it will also restore AP to her. So big attack drains AP from the target essentially, or at least it knocks their AP off and she recovers a little bit. It's not a pure drain where you just take it from them. You just decrease theirs and give yours some. So it's a lot like a drain. Anyway, she'll get 10 AP back with the EX upgrade here. Note that it also gains another use, which is pretty neat. Okay, then you have Fascinate Sandrion. Sandrion, this is the name of her persona in Persona 5. This is a buff. It's a group buff. Grants the following effects for allies. Restores CT 150 when performing a critical hit, and increases her own evasion by 25. So this is her evasion buff. It's a self-only evasion buff. But the other thing on here is really nice. I want you to think about Starlight Elena for a second. One of the most annoying things about Starlight Elena is you can make her so fast that she can just start lapping you. Sometimes she will like 16 chain you, what it feels like, by herself, because she like multi-hit slashing attacks you, but since it was range and she didn't have to move, she just already has some CT, and then she gets to go again before your slow tank does, and all of a sudden she has a 6 light, 6 slash chain, and your tank is dead to like 2 turns of Starlight Elena while your tank stood there like a turtle and died. Check out this buff. With this buff, right, if Elena in that case was to crit, she would also restore 150 of her own CT, which boosts her up the turn order. So it just makes your already fast element of light even faster with a CT boost AoE buff. This is very unique. We don't have this in the game right now. Really nice. Now, you do have to crit. You do have to crit to get that CT back, but Elena crits all the time. And multi-hit attacks, which Elena is the queen of, you know, you have multiple chances to crit. You can count on it, I think, in my opinion. And then, oh, she has courage. Just let's just not forget, like, she has courage too, so that's kind of good. Huh, who else is a light evasion unit with multi-hit attacks? And oh, that'd be Starlight Elena, right. Okay, so you can see where she has a lot of what makes light already good built into her kit. Now, her new job sub-job is very, very important for her PvE usefulness. It is another 3-hit light slashing move. Only 131% modifier, which is a little bit low, but it has 3 casts and only costs 18 AP. This is a big deal because if your account only has a couple of AP regeneration items on it, you need your other characters in big slashing chain comps to be able to use multi-hit attacks without having bells on or something like that. At 18 AP, no problem. And if you give her, at 18 AP, that's just going to be no problem. Sorry, my brain went somewhere weird. Then she also has a light attack buff for 3 turns for herself, which is pretty cool. You know, she can buff her light attack. Okay, she has Duelist sub. Now, Duelist is a very important sub for her. In my opinion, it was super important for her support abilities in particular, but there's a couple buffs on this sub job that are very important for her as well. Responsive Attitude is another 25 evasion buff, so if you want to run this, you can. It will also give her 20 single target resist. However, remember, you do also have your evasion buff up here, same amount, 25, and has that CT restore for critical hits. So you could pick whichever one you think is better. If you're in Duelist sub, do you want single target resist or do you want CT restore with a crit? You also have Sharp Edge, which is, boost crit chance by 35%. Not that you probably needed that. You have a move critical hit rate buff. And you have AoE resist buff for allies. So she also is bringing in allies AoE resistance buff. and has AP restore when performing a critical hit. So, in PvE situations, if you cast this buff on yourself and you walked out here with your 18 AP 3-hit move and you're restoring AP every time you hit, you could essentially just use this without worrying about bells or something like that with the offense and defense plus take a step, that's it combo. I think that made sense, right? That's a lot of words and it will translate differently in global, but I think the duelist sub is her really important one. You do also have access to a gunner sub if you were going for a light missile comp with like a Jaden or something like that, so that's interesting. And then her limit break is pretty straightforward. It is a 3-hitter, so keep that in mind. A 200% modifier, scales the same way the rest of her stuff does. Good range with range height 2, it's a range 1, 2, 3, 4 with range height 2, and has boosted critical hit chance of 50%, so it's gonna crit all 3 hits, and that's her kit. So that is Violet. Is she going to be, because here's the pressing question, right? Similar to when you're looking at Makoto, you have to think, is she going to be as good as Cloud and Amara and, we just got Esther. Does Makoto fit? Well, I don't know with Makoto. With Violet, you have to think, does she fit with like Locke and Elena? Like, is she as strong as them? Can I work her into my light evasion teams? I think you can, and it's something I think that's worth remembering when we're talking about these units is, not everybody has every unit. If you only have Locke as a light evasion unit, maybe you have like Locke and Engelbert and Locke and Thancred, but you've never picked up Starlight Elena, this could be the girl. I don't think there's going to be a drop-off. I'll at least say this. If you're looking to run 2 evasion units in a tank, I think they're probably interchangeable. I think the combination of Elena, Locke, or Violet, combined with like an Engelbert, that team's probably going to be good. Whichever 2 of the evasion units in Engelbert you use is going to be fine. Or you could go super spicy and go triple light evasion. Maybe that's a thing now. I don't know. We'll have to see. She's going to be dodging and counterattacking like crazy. Okay, we have the account review to do next. So that's the end of the Violet portion of this video. If you're out now, thank you for watching. But if you want to see what a dolphin, a self-proclaimed day 102 dolphin looks like, well, stay tuned. And here we go. So late night, first of all, again, big thank you for joining the YouTube channel as a Saint of Eileen. This is a perk of that membership, and I'm happy to do this. People really like looking at these account reviews, which is something that, again, I know I've mentioned this before, it always blew my mind. Like, I never felt like this would be content people liked to watch, but apparently people like to see where their account stacks up against somebody else. So some information I requested is how long have you played the game, how much money have you spent, or whatever you feel comfortable saying. Late Night has been playing at this point for about 105 days, so pushing that like 4-month barrier, right? Also, Dolphin, so light spender who whaled a bit during the 2-year anniversary, and this is the account that he has. One of his main elements is Dark, and you can see that right here. Dwayne, Black Rose Helena, Kane, Ruinstern, Golbez, Shadowlinks, Lemire, all fully EX'd. That is a stellar Dark roster, right? Notice level 99 Garvel over here, just waiting for that EX upgrade. Jesus at level 99, that gives you bells, really good. So as far as Dark goes, you can tell highly invested into Dark, and it's probably paying him dividends, and he did mention big time Dark player, lots of high-end teams here, PvE, PvP, no problem. Light, not as invested into Light, but clearly working on it. Got the 120 Lucio like we all should have. Picked up the 120 Thancred, maybe for free, during the last rerun for him. Working on Locke, Elena, and Yuna and Engelbert. When these units right here get finished, this account's light is going to just like skyrocket, right? So much power right here, and this could be an account, depending on where like Locke or Elena, like how close these two are, you could do, if he gets one of them finished and then picks up like a Violet, there's a really cool combination that could come here. I think it will especially pop off once Engelbert gets to his 120, and we'll check out the vision card situation here in a little while. Okay, Fire, again, strong and smartly invested in. Terra, Rain, Setia, Luartha. Really good synergy between your fully leveled fire units, whether it's magic between Terra and Rain or missile between Luartha and Setia. It's good fire account, really strong fire account. King Mont on the way up, top tier tank. And Classy Glassy, like, people sleep on her. She's really pretty good. You're working on her as well. I think this is looking real strong for fire. Clearly been a focus. Wind, Joom at 120, one of the better plug and play tanks in the game. Especially if you're wanting to run like a bait comp on defense, you can throw a Joom in slot 1 and people are like, oh, I'm coming for you with my ice. And you back that up with your fire units. Really good trap comp idea right there. But notice, the 120 Little Leela just needs some EXP. The 120 Marymore, really strong team. Joom, Halloween Little Leela, Marymore, OP. That's a really good squad. So strong there. Ayaka at 102, I guess, is coming up, but I wouldn't even worry about that, honestly. You got the Little Leela. You're set for Wind for a while. Lightning, clearly not been a focus. Did pick up Esther. I don't know if that was like some luck on tickets or something, but I wouldn't worry too much about Lightning, especially if your Cloud is a long way away. Now, if he's only at level 55 because you like have a bunch of shards, but you just haven't been investing materials, that's a different story. But with Lightning, I would like trigger an investment into Lightning around spikes. Like, do you have enough Charlotte shards to fully max her out? If so, maybe start focusing on Lightning. Maybe get this Esther built up with Charlotte. And where's your Renan at? Abara, Cloud. These are your, like, okay, I'll call this your power squad for Lightning, right? Abara, Esther, Renan, Cloud, maybe Frederica, she's right there. None of them are even level 99. So I wouldn't worry too much about Lightning right now, but you have the foundations for a future good Lightning account. Ice, Rosa's at 120, nobody else is. It's cool that you leveled Rosa, and you can plug her into some comps, or again, she could fill as like a generic support slot 1 defense bait. Bait in some fire, maybe counter with water, although you're not going to be countering with water, because if we look at, we'll get to your water here in a minute. Earth, you got the Mont at 120, freest character in the game, Mont 120. Well, Lucio might be more free. I don't know. They're both hella free. And then Oberon at 120 is pretty good as well. You got the 99 Zombie Ryryu, TMR. See what you did there. Get that TMR done. Real smart. So I think it's smart investing here. Oberon will pay off for you in certain situations. Mont, good limited base team right here, right? Like you have a good Oberon Mont plus like a Murmur or something like that for an Earth limited team someday. Eileen's at level 1, but we all know that Eileen is a pacifist now, so that's fine. And then here's your water account. Like I said, not going to be running any water traps, just not going for it. And that's fine. There's some elements you should just stay away from, especially as somebody who hasn't even played the game for like half a year yet. Just get a hard pass on some elements. Water has been that for you, no problem. Okay, next up. First of all, you're in a D&D group. This makes you a cooler person than, yeah, makes you cool. Being in a Dungeons & Dragons group is awesome, as it says right here on the screen. But here's your Espers. First thing I noticed, Dark Odin, Regular Odin, Bahamut. Really smart. I don't know if you were really lucky. I don't know if this was targeted, but for having only played for a few months, having the 3 like most important Espers in the game, in my opinion, leveled to 99, A+. A+. You can literally just fill in from there, and you've done a pretty good job. Demon Wall, best tank Esper in the game. Shiva, one of the fastest mage Espers in the game. Death Machine, another good tank Esper. Omega, really strong DPS Esper. Bloody Moon, super good value Esper along with Behemoth. Like Diablos, high damage magic attack Esper. Note how many dark ones are maxed out. Smart. This is smart Esper leveling, and with the foundation of Bahamut, Odin, and Odin, the Bahamut and the Odin brothers, you can do almost anything else you want. So these are your high-level Espers. Yeah, I don't know if you just got super lucky. Personally, like, and people don't know this about my account because I wasn't a content creator back then. I went hard for Odin when he came out. Whiffed. Completely whiffed. There was no pity back in the game back then. I just didn't have them. It was months after Odin came out that I got my first copy, and many months later before I maxed out the vision card anyway. So, excuse me. So there's that. Now, vision cards. The Dark Odin card is maxed out. Okay, so you probably just took advantage of the event to max out the card. I never think that's a bad idea, because at some point, even if you're not an ice player right now or a water player right now, someday you might be. And if you do ever become one, it's going to just pay off to have maxed out the vision cards when it came out. Look at all the limited VCs you have maxed. Odin, Tara's card, Dwayne's card, Exorcist, PvE Powerhouse card, right? Pumpkin Frederica. Good job on the Black Rose Helena card. Like, so many of the core Vision cards right here are maxed out, including PvE ones as well. So let's continue looking right here. Mary Moore's got her card done. You've also got Arimon done. Good for Joom. Fenrir's almost maxed out here. Oh, excuse me. I'm not going to cut that because, you know, I'm like in the middle of recording. Bahamut's almost ready for your Light Squad. So I guess what I would be looking for here, you got Diablos done. If I was you, I would really go for Joker's Vision card for sure during this next event, because your dark cards are coming along nicely with just like Diablos, Dwayne's card, and Black Rose Helena's card. I think you're in a decent spot here for your dark cards. Omega's almost done. I don't know how close that is, but I think Joker's VC could help your account out a lot there. Okay, gear. Now here is where, and you mentioned this in your comments, you said that gear was something that you were tentative. You were like a little hesitant was the word I was going for, excuse me. Hesitant about investing in because you're worried about like wasting materials, stuff like that. And as a result, you just don't have a lot of +5 gear. You know, you have a couple, Tearfing, Platinum Mace +5, that's good. Here's the thing with +5 gear. Just go for it. Just go for it. Like, all this stuff, especially most of these like MR ones that you can just farm, just set up teams that can auto the brutal missions, and your account is plenty strong enough to be autoing some brutal missions. Set those teams up and just let them go overnight a couple times on the brutal. A lot of times it's only just once. You leave that thing running one night, you'll have enough to +5 a piece of gear in a lot of situations. So don't get into the paralysis by analysis thing, as a lot of sports commentators like to say. If a piece of gear is good, just farm it and max it. Just max one out, no big deal. Now, trust stones, you also mentioned that your trust stones were something you haven't worked on yet. We're getting a Hiroki gift right now that is a pink trust stone of every type. What I would suggest for you is build up like a set of greens for trust masters that you like to use the most. Don't worry about like leveling them a bunch, but play with some green trust stones or just blues, whatever, lower rarity ones to get those set bonuses, and notice how much like it's a nice little power boost, right? So play with those a little bit, and then when you figure out some ones that you really like, invest the free stuff that we've gotten, because we've gotten quite a few free pink trust stones at this point, especially after the latest Hiroki gift. And there you go. So the rest of your gear, like, again, it's kind of the same story, so we're not going to mess with looking at that. But that's the account review, right? So I would say this, really, really strong, especially Dark Element. I love your Dark. Go for Joker's Vision card. Probably get Joker. Your Visior situation is only $13.88, so I don't know like if you're done spending or not, or if you have some like stuff you could still clear for some more Viz. I would go for Joker if I was you and willing to spend a little bit, but if you're done whaling for a while, hey, you got enough dark units. I would definitely catch the Vision card though. Grab whatever, if there's probably going to be a 5-step for it or something, so I would look for that. And that is the account review. So, Late Night, thank you so much for becoming a member of the church. I hope the account review was fun for you guys, for you and anybody watching, and that's it. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.